All right, some breaking news to react to on this Monday, April 21st. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you. Hope everybody out there had a fantastic weekend and your weeks are off to an awesome start. A reminder, it is NFL Draft Week. The first round is on Thursday, rounds 2 and 3 on Friday, and then rounds 4 through 7 on Saturday afternoon. Here on Eagles Now, yours truly, producer Chip. We will be live every single round, every single day, talking about every single pick. And of course, every single Eagles draft selection, we'll do some deep dive analysis and keep you in the know with what that player is bringing to Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, Jeffrey Lurie, and this Eagles organization. You don't want to miss our coverage. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. And you're probably watching this show right now saying, Chase, new digs? Where are you at? I'm in Boston. I've been here since Friday after I had that family emergency on Thursday, so it's been a whirlwind of the last few days, but my best friend from my childhood, JJ Rudisil, just got wrapped up finishing his first Boston Marathon. He's a diehard Eagles fan. For those of you who watch our watch parties, the Birds in the Barn crew, that's his family. The real ones know. And what an experience it was to be here in Boston, watching the Boston Marathon, him, and then the other 30,000 runners who competed here today. And JJ crushed it. Set a PR, total time 2 hours, 44 minutes, and 41 seconds, a per-mile pace of 6 minutes and 17 seconds. Incredible. Showing some love. It's awesome to see when you see your best friends do some legendary shit. So type JJ down in the comment section right now. And before we get to this Cam Jurgens contract extension, our sponsor for today's show, our friends at Game Time, the best app in the ticketing marketplace and the only app that you should be using. I went to the Red Sox game yesterday on Sunday. Red Sox, White Sox, really good back and forth game, which kind of came down to the last couple of innings. And we waited up until the last moment to get our tickets, and prices dropped up to 60% off. We had a crew of 13, 14 people there in the right field bleachers, and what an atmosphere it was at Fenway Park. If you want to be a part of an atmosphere like that, you want to go to a game, concert, comedy show, theater event, and a whole lot more, download the Game Time app. Use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. Last-minute tickets and zone deals. Easy to find and buy Major League Baseball tickets for every kind of event in your area. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive, and you get the lowest price guaranteed. Otherwise, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. That's code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. Last-minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed. What time is it? Game Time. All right, so I did a YouTube short on this as I was on the train. I caught JJ at around mile 6 of 26.1. Then we took the train back into downtown Boston, and we were hovering around the finish line. And when I was kind of out in the middle of nowhere, I think Framingham, Massachusetts, the news broke that Cam Jurgens and the Eagles agreed to terms on a contract extension. I tried to do a video then, but I had no cell service because there's about 1 million people in the area, so that's why we're reacting to it now. And in case you missed the news, here you go. If you already know the news, this is an Eagles talk show, and people watch this program to get my opinions, thoughts, and analysis on the Birds. So Adam Schefter breaking the news today that Pro Bowl center Cam Jurgens, who obviously replaced Jason Kelce and made it to the Pro Bowl in his first full season as a starting center this past year in 2024, which the Eagles capped off with that wonderful Super Bowl victory, reached agreement on a 4-year, $68 million contract extension that includes $39.4 million in guaranteed money, and that contractually ties him to Philadelphia through the 2029 season. His agent, Ryan Tollner of XL Football, helping to get this deal done, with Howie Roseman leading the charge, and then Jeffrey Lurie signing off on this check. And that 2029 season is a big one that a lot of people are talking about, because the Eagles have signed a lot of players to contract extensions through the 2029 season. And so that is the year when a lot of these caps And a lot of these contracts and a lot of these financial numbers are going to hit the books. And so a lot of people who are preying on the Eagles' downfall are saying, Eagles are running out of money, 2029 and beyond, it's going to be really rough. Well, this has all been calculated by Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie. That's why the Eagles are the best-run organization in football right now. That is the year that the new television deal will be signed in the National Football League. It's expected to be massive. There is a new formula and way in which the NFL is able to track how many people are watching games because now they're going to track streaming services. And so when the NFL signs that deal for the next television deal, regardless of which broadcast partners and companies are a part of that NFL movement, it's going to be very lucrative. It's going to go for an insane amount of money, and in turn, what's going to happen? The NFL salary cap is going to specifically skyrocket right around then. And so the NFL salary cap the last several years has gone up and up and up. But once that new TV deal is signed, Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie have understood this. Jeffrey Lurie has a television entertainment background. It's going to help absorb a lot of these big contracts that the Eagles have signed over recent time. Now, as far as highest paid centers in the NFL on an average annual value basis, Creed Humphrey of the Kansas City Chiefs is number one at $18 million per year. Cam Jurgens number two at $17 million per season. Drew Dahlman just left the Falcons to sign with the Bears, $14 million per year. Frank Ragnow of the Lions, $13.5 million per season. And then rounding out that top five list is Lloyd Cushenberry at $12.5 million. The Eagles getting Jurgens now at 17 sounds like a lot. And it is a lot of money. But the expectation is that the center market is going to get reset here soon, like that's what's happened with other positions. And somewhere down the road, if Jurgens stays healthy and he continues to ascend and he continues to play well, this contract for Jurgens will end up being a bargain down the road. And that is the advantage of getting these deals done early. You sign these contract extensions early, and you're able to get ahead of the market before it gets reset, and then down the road, you can get your players at about 60 to 70% of the market price. It's really brilliant by Howie Roseman. A team like the San Francisco 49ers, for instance, they always wait until training camp and the preseason to sign their players to contract extensions. What happens? The market gets reset, sometimes multiple times, and then they have to overpay. Howie Roseman and the Eagles have a completely different strategy here with how they take care of some of their homegrown players. And taking care of homegrown players has been an organizational plan for Philadelphia. They identify players who they want as pillars and building blocks, and then they sign them to contract extensions early to save money, but to have your core set. And so for that reason, we've known that with Cam Jurgens going into the final year of his rookie contract, because he was drafted in 2022 out of Nebraska, that a contract extension was looming. Now, year one, he sat. 2023, he played right guard. 2024, he filled in at center. The Eagles love his character. The Eagles love his work ethic. They like the player. They like the fit inside the scheme. They love him as far as being a locker room presence and leader of this team, and just being around Cam Jurgens and being able to interview him a couple of times in the lead up to the Super Bowl, you can just tell he's made of the right things. And this has also been a theme for Philadelphia, because you take a look at the contract extensions signed by the Eagles offensive linemen over the past year alone. Cam Jurgens, 4 years, $68 million. Jordan Mailata, 3 years, $66. Landon Dickerson, 4 years, $84. Lane Johnson, 1 year, $25, and as part of that, because he's a little bit older, he was guaranteed a lot of money. And so this Eagles offensive line, it is the heartbeat of their team. It is the strength of their team. It allows you to run the football successfully, control the clock, wear the opponents down. And then, of course, it gives Jalen Hurts time to throw it to the likes of A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith, the best 1-2 punch wide receiver duo in the NFL. By the way, A.J. Brown had his car stolen in Philadelphia today, and then police ended up finding it a little bit later. That's another scenario and another story and what's been an active day for Philadelphia. But I love the emphasis that the Eagles and Howie Roseman put along the offensive line. Sometimes when you watch the game of football on television, you'll watch from the bird's eye view along the sideline. Sometimes you'll get that view from behind the play. When you're on the field level, even if you're just watching from the sideline, a good indicator of how a game is going or how a team is dominating is just by watching the line of scrimmage from the side of the field. What type of push are you getting with your offensive line? What type of penetration are you getting with your defensive line? And I'm a firm believer that after you get a quarterback, that's how you build a football team. This is something that Howie Roseman learned from Andy Reid when he started as an intern and then moved to managing the salary cap in the early 2000s, and then he worked his way up to becoming the best general manager in the sport. And that, in my opinion, is the best, most firm way to build a football team. You can have injuries elsewhere, but if you have upper-tier talent and you have depth along the offensive line and defensive line, you can win a lot of football games in this league. Look at how Philadelphia was able to pick apart and dominate and completely embarrass the Kansas City Chiefs. They won at the line of scrimmage with their offensive line and their defensive line. And Howie Roseman said it at the NFL Combine. I have a healthy obsession with finding players in the trenches because we believe that is part of the backbone of our organization. It's part of the fabric of the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's how we've been able to have so much sustained success. And for me being 33 years old, growing up in this Andy Reid era, and now this Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni era, think about all of the great offensive linemen and the great players along the offensive line that the Eagles have drafted, developed, and at points signed and compensated. It is always at the forefront of what they do as an Eagles organization. And I know some people this offseason have been very frustrated about a lot of the players that the Eagles have let go in free agency. They still have arguably the most talented roster in the NFL. The Eagles players now locked up through 2028. It includes Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, who Adam Schefter said the Eagles are not trading to the New England Patriots. I'll talk about that tomorrow because I've had a bunch of Boston people over the last few days as I've been rocking Eagles gear come up to me asking, what's up with your wide receiver? I said, he's not going anywhere, chatterheads. He's staying in Philly. DeVonta Smith, Saquon Barkley, Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Zach Bond. All of those players are under contract with Philadelphia through 2028. That's a talented core. That is also a very young core. And then I believe that Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Quinyon Mitchell, and Cooper DeJean, who the Eagles have identified as building blocks as well, who are currently in the midst of their rookie contracts, are going to be a part of this organization moving forward as well. So that's one hell of a core. This is a reason why the Eagles have an opportunity to go on a dynastic run, to have sustained success. They have 8 draft picks this year, all within the first 5 rounds. Next year, they're loaded in the draft as well. And a lot of these players who the Eagles take, they're not looking at them as far as being impact players right away because they don't need to. That's ideal. They're looking at them being developmental pieces for the future who can really contribute to this Eagles organization. So wanted to react. Cam Jurgens, massive contract extension with the Philadelphia Eagles. I have a travel day tomorrow, but I'll be doing a show somewhere from Boston, back in the studio Wednesday, NFL draft on Thursday, and we're putting this in the works right now. Nothing set in stone, but I do believe I'm going to be joined by Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro on Friday to recap the Eagles' first round and look ahead to the second round of the 2025 NFL Draft. Exciting times for the Eagles. Great times here on Eagles Now. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.